we mark ourselves like as, we have tilak, a certain tradition, and we wear clothing, and we still like in a way keep a sectarian culture. So how would you explain why we do that?
Such a nice question. Thank you very much. So this is a very big topic and a very important topic, especially when you're looking at kind of different religions, how to find a universal point of view, how to find a universal connection. So actually in the West, they created something, I think the technical term was universalism. I can't remember now. It's like I already forgotten it, Kali Yuga brain. But there's a certain movement which was basically trying to be pure, perennial, universal philosophy without any influence of ethnic influence, historical influence, social influence, like are you left, are you right wing, are you this, are you that, do you have this designation. Trying to just get pure philosophy without religion, without any historical movement or ethnic movement. But what actually they found out is you cannot actually completely ostracize universal spiritual knowledge from a tradition. It's actually not possible. You can there is obviously a gradient, so some things are very ethnically entrenched or based on historical things. So what do I mean by ethnically? For example, Judaism, you cannot be a traditional Jew if you do not have a maternal bloodline. So Judaism is based on an ethnicity. Ethnicity means social grouping, generally based on your caste, or you could say kind of your sub race or race. But like ethnicity can be very small also. It basically means a social group based on some kind of deeper meaning, physically, biologically. So these things influence your ethnic group. For instance, if you go to India, then you'll see Gujaratis, they dress in the sari differently to Bengalis. So generally ISKCON's dress style is actually a Bengali ethnic variant of Indian culture. It's not a Vedic dress. For instance, putting tilak. Traditionally in India, women don't wear tilak, they only wear a bindi because bindi is a type of tilak. But Gaudiyas, they wear tilak and a bindi. So then is that eternal spiritual or is it an ethnic thing, right? And then you have historical. So even within ethnicities, things change over time. And historical can also mean historical claims. For instance, Jesus, according to Western scholars of Christianity, made a historical claim that I am the way, truth and the light, etc., etc. No one can come through the Father but through me. But that's a historical claim, because the me is referring to him, but you can only understand him when he's speaking to you, when he's physically present, right? So he only lived very short. How long did he live? 32 years or something? Someone remembers? Already forgotten. Anyone remember? Very short. He passed away very young. Yeah, very, very young. Even Lord Caitanya passed very young. I think he was 42 or 48. 48. So many, great teachers pass very early. So if they're if everything is based on them, Jesus only preached actually for 3 years in the area of Israel, Palestine, that area. But his philosophy can be universalized. If you say, I'm the way, truth and the light, what about all the human beings that have existed for, hundreds of thousands of years? They may say, okay, this particular species evolved, but we understand even the Vanaras millions of years ago, which scientists accept they existed, because they say monkey forms which are human-like. So they also were human form in the sense that they have ability to understand philosophy, etc. So what about for millions of years, what did people do before Jesus came? And Jesus is going to be forgotten very soon. The universe is millions of years old, but his message will be in this universe probably it's been 2,000 years, it's already waning since about 200-300 years. So maybe in another 1,000 years, people may forget about him. Just like there are many great emperors in the world, Roman emperors. Can anyone name a great Egyptian emperor or king? Actually, you should know, you're still in school, so you should all learn this in school. Yeah? Cleopatra, yeah? Anyone else? Like Tutankhamun, anyone heard of him? There's some films, I think, about him. So, I'm not expert on Egyptian history, but we can remember, it was such an influential culture, whereas now almost everyone's forgotten their names. Similarly, ancient Greece was the starting point of Western culture. But anybody heard of Heraclitus, apart from Shami? You've heard of Plato, Aristotle probably, but there were many other great Greek thinkers which influenced very, very seriously Western culture, but nobody remembers them now. How many Roman emperors can you name on your hand? Not very many, right? So all of these historical things come and go, but what stays is the universal thing. So they were trying to study that, what is the way we can completely separate ethnicity, history, geography, all of these material considerations, and just have pure philosophy, pure points, pure principles. But they found this impossible, because humans can never be AI. Humans can never be machines. So you will always mix with something. So if you're going to mix with something, it's better to mix with a pure thing than an impure thing, right? It's better to mix with a more mature thing than a non-mature thing. It's better to mix with a more complete thing than a more incomplete thing, right? So if you're forced to have some level of crossover, in other words, you have principles and then you have details according to time, place and circumstance, then it's the more sattvic, or the more the culture is in sattva guna, the more appropriate it is to join it or to marry it with universal principles. So that is actually what Vedic culture is. So although we can say that everything is one family, all religions are equal, that's for ABCD. But later then you need to start categorizing based on philosophy, based on inherent value, based on logic. You're no longer categorizing because, oh, this color skin is better, therefore our philosophy is better. Or our particular historical and political leadership was better, therefore we're better, etc. Which are many ways people say they're better. But there's nothing wrong with comparing things not based on race, color, gender, but on inherent value, right? If you like, there's two phones. So he has a yellow phone, he has a blue phone. And I say, this yellow phone is useless, this blue phone is good. Then that's not a very fair comparison, because it's completely relative whether yellow is good or blue is good, right? But if I say, because he has 4 GB RAM, he has 16 GB RAM. He has 10 megapixel, he has 200 megapixel. And you can compare many, many things. Then you can make more of an objective study, that what is the function of a phone and which one serves the function of a phone better. So in the same way, Prabhupada is being very careful with his words. So he's being universalistic, but he's also leaving space to add later on that there are nuances within philosophy and there are gradations based on philosophical understanding of things which are categorically better, if that makes sense. So actually, so therefore this is one theory I have, my ISKCON theory of sociology. I think I told Shami about this once. Because sometimes, just like when we don't understand philosophy, we still have a philosophy, right? But sometimes our philosophy can be dogmatic, fanatic, confused, illogical, right? But if you study philosophy, then your philosophy will come out better. So just like understanding, I gave you the wrong word by the way earlier, it's not lokik vichar, because lokik is, philosophically is fine, but the actual word Shankaracharya used was vyavaharik vichar actually. So vyavaharik and paramarthik, you can Google it and then you can read articles on it. So those two things help us understand spiritual life more maturely, right? Because then we realize, oh Prabhu, you're using the wrong, vichar at the moment. You should be, I'm trying to talk to you about my emotions, someone passed away, and you're trying to tell me that you're attached to the body. It's not appropriate because it's the wrong time and place. So in the same way, there's 4 ways of categorizing relationships as ISKCON devotees. One is how we deal with people who do not believe in Krishna consciousness, or at least Hinduism. Or Buddhism maybe, but at least Hinduism and sometimes Krishna consciousness in general. So that's one category, which means external people to our religion. Then number 2 is dealing with external people who are sympathetic, but they're not officially part of ISKCON. So it can be Hindus, can be Gaudiya Math, can be, I don't know, Sri Vaishnavas, Ramanuja, different groups. Can be different people from Goswami lineages in India. So the relationship between like, I don't know, an African guy in Nigeria who is a Muslim and a Bengali Gaudiya Math devotee is different, right? You can talk about many more things with the Bengali Gaudiya Vaishnava than the Nigerian Muslim, right? But neither of them are part of our particular tradition at the same time. And then you have things which you say, you communicate for the institution in general. These are called general principles. And then the last one is, so institutional, and then the last one is personal. So sometimes we have to categorize the instructions which Prabhupada gives. He may have given it to a person, but it's not for everyone. And then people read a letter and then they take that letter as a principle. But the context was, it was personal context. So sometimes we also conflate these things. Like if you go to public, you're not going to tell them everyone should wear tilak, otherwise their forehead is like a graveyard. Is it appropriate? No, right? Because that's just for people within our tradition. If a Christian comes up to you and say, if you're not baptized, you're going to hell. If someone on the street is like, I don't even care about that, bro. I grew up in Christianity, I already left it. So you have to say things which are relevant to the person, which they can be useful for them. If a Muslim says, if you haven't finished 5 prayers today, if he comes up to Shami on the street and says it to him, is it very appropriate for him? No, right? He says, you're not going to go to Jannah. And then he says, I don't even know what Jannah is. So there are different ways we have to explain different things. So when we're speaking with people that are completely new, then yes, there's universalism, because that is the background of Vedic culture. But it's not that we're sentimental, because if everything is one, then where do you draw the line? Because there are contradictions between Christianity and Krishna consciousness. Just like eternal hell. Do we believe in eternal hell? No, right? There's actually mainly is Western Christianity, like European Christianity. Eastern Europe and Africa, well, Ethiopia, they don't believe in eternal hell, but Western forms do, because they thought if we scare people into going to hell, then they'll convert quicker, which is true, and it happened. But obviously then you have lower quality of followers, because they're just scared followers. So there are many things which we cannot say objectively they're the same. So when Srila Prabhupada says it, he's speaking about general principles for people who are new, to give a basic picture. So the basic goal of Christianity, especially in Orthodoxy, is love of God and the spiritual world. But at the same time, it's not exactly the same as how we understand everything else. Like diet, like history, we do not believe that the earth is only a few thousand years old, etc. So the principles can be the same, but the details are different. So therefore, when you're dealing with people, especially when you're first dealing with people, social etiquette is you find what's in common, and that's how you build a relationship, right? It's like if you go up to someone, so who should I ask? So tell me yes or no, okay? So say you go up to someone, you just met, like say you're at school and then you meet someone, and then you're like, they're like, oh, so where do you live? And you say, where do you live actually? I don't know where you live. Berlin. Oh, you live in Berlin. So if you say you're at school in Berlin, and then you say, oh, nice to meet you, and then you'll be like, do you live in Berlin too? And they're like, no, I don't like Berlin. And you're like, okay. And then you're like, oh, so how old are you? And then they're like, oh, I'm 18. And you're like, oh, I'm 18 too. And they're like, yeah, but what month are you? And then you're like, oh, I'm in March. They say, well, it doesn't matter. I'm not born in March, so we're not the same age. And you're like, okay. And then you're like, so I'm really hungry. Like, I'm looking forward to lunch. And then they're like, I'm not looking forward to lunch. Like, everything you say, they're opposite. How do you feel? Do you feel good, or is it annoying? Yeah, it's hard to build a relationship, right? So one of the most important things in building relationships is you find commonalities with people. So just like sometimes you see, for instance, if we're doing Harinam, sometimes you find people who are very intolerant to other traditions. So especially Muslims, sometimes they say very heavy comments to us. But the way I realize is there's always a slight enmity between Indians who are Muslim and Hindu, because of the history, of the so much genocide, exploitation, destruction, terrorism, etc. So Indians, they're always a bit like on edge between the two groups. So as soon as I see Muslim first, they say, oh, where are you from, my brother? Because they always call each other brother. And then they say, I'm from Afghanistan. I said, oh, Afghanistan, India, we're brothers. We used to be one country. So immediately they feel a brotherhood. But if I say, oh, Afghanistan, you are the guys who destroyed all the Buddhist temples and slaughtered the people, murdered all the women and raped them, what's he going to feel? He's just going to feel like you hate him, right? But if you say, oh, we used to be one country, we're family, then they feel good. So that's the principle of relationship. So does that help a little bit? So it's a very deep topic. So now we'll continue on with this particular PowerPoint.
One more video.
I was thinking just to space it out. I mean, we can watch it now. You want to watch the video first or start the topic first?
No, yeah, show the video.
Sorry?
Show the video.
Who wants video first? Huh?
Yeah, does it fit, or is it?
Yeah, but I mean, it could be good in the beginning, because the videos are more like just general philosophy. Okay, so who have we done? Okay, this is the last one for now. Uh-oh. Okay, subtitle. Any other questions, or everyone is satisfied?
I'm satisfied.
He's been practicing Tribhuvan. He's been practicing Krishna consciousness for 28 years now, and he will explain everything you want to.
very honorable guest speaker tonight, and I'm just really elaborating a little bit on this slideshow multimedia, which was explaining a little bit about transmigration. Of course, Vedic literature particularly teaches us that consciousness comes from a superior energy, and matter comes from an inferior energy. So, superior and inferior are two completely separate, distinct energies. Therefore, the emphasis of scientific study we find in the material world is based upon the material principle of existence. The emphasis that was given in the Vedas, or the ancient Vedic literatures, was a study of a transcendental energy called Brahman. Brahman means spirit. So, the transcendental entity, or the spiritual entity, which actually belongs in the eternal atmosphere, which belongs in the spiritual atmosphere, has an eternal relationship with the Supreme Spirit, Krishna. Now, the individual quality of that individual spirit is that he has individual consciousness, which is signified as manifested in life symptoms. One of these chief life symptoms is independence. So the misuse of the independence brings the living entity into an environment by which he can exercise his desire, if you like, to be a completely dominant entity. So the difference between the superior and inferior is that the superior energy is what we call immeasurable energy, and the inferior energy is the limited and temporary material energy, which is actually measurable. So when the living entity, if you like, misuses independence to forget God and comes into the material world, takes on a material designated body, and in that designated body, he exercises his free will, which is really the sum and substance of what we call the law of karma. The law of karma is basically the science of action and reaction. Everybody has an individual choice to act according to their individual desire. And that desire is controlled by higher nature. In other words, the material nature is more powerful than the individual entity. So if you like, God is still manifested in the material world in what is called the separated energy, which is called Maya, or matter. So therefore, when the living entity has become exhausted in his artificial desire to be independent of God, or to be an independent, conscious controller, then he can give up that artificial consciousness and realize that he is actually an eternal servant of God. And the servitude between the individual living entity and the complete whole entity, God, is called Krishna consciousness or Bhakti Yoga. So that's it in a nutshell. Thank you.
Okay, so there we go. So was the sound clear enough? I mean, there were subtitles, luckily, but
It was good.
it's more fuzzy, the sound. Hopefully you could catch it. So now we'll continue on. So we've understood now a lot of the Gita in summary from these 3 videos, a lot of the basic ideas. But now we won't cover so much of the Gita, but we'll cover in general the main points which Lord Krishna came to teach, essential teachings, as is titled, and then some about 5 points also which Lord Caitanya came to give uniquely or specially. So mainly what Krishna gave is in these videos, which is the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita, but now these are some broader points than just exactly what's in the Gita. So before we start, we can recite some special prayers. So let's continue. So let's try and recite this together. Maybe you know it already. Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagadhitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishna Chaitanya Vishay Namaha. So these are what we call pranam mantras. Pranam means to bow or to offer reverence or to offer respect. And these two mantras are ones which we use. For instance, if you're offering food, then generally you need to know these mantras, deity worship, general prayers, etc. So does everyone know the meaning of them? So it's good to know the meaning. Actually, you only make half the benefit if you know the Sanskrit, but not the meaning. So it's good to know the meaning. So everyone knows what Brahmana is, right? A Brahmana. So ultimately, Brahmana means one who knows Brahman. Brahman means spiritual reality. So, and Devaya means God. So one who is the God of the Brahmanas, who is the inspiration for all of the Brahmanas. Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha. Hitaya means it means charity, but I guess in this context, Hita means to benefit. The benefactor of the cows and the Brahmanas, so the protector of the cows and the Brahmanas. And then Jagat Hitaya, he also helps everybody in the universe. So as we heard yesterday in the class, it doesn't matter if you don't have a mom, you don't have a dad, you don't have a grandfather, you don't have a friend, because Krishna says in the Gita, I'm all of those for you as well. So he is the one who is helping and benefacting and protecting everyone. And then Govindaya Namo Namah. So Govinda, that name literally is basically defined in the previous 3 lines above it. And then Mahavadanyaya, what does anyone remember that word? Mahavadanyaya avatar? So it means one who's very merciful, who gives. So Lord Chaitanya comes to give without taking anything for himself. Lord Chaitanya came just as a very simple monastic. He was not a great king. He didn't come to enjoy anything. He was very austere. But he came just to give people love. And love means love of God. Because no love is complete without it being in the context of a life of love of God. So Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Padaya. Therefore he's giving the love of God, Krishna Prema. And Krishnaya, unto Krishna, who is also known as Krishna Chaitanya. So he was born as Krishna Chaitanya, also Nimai. So he became Krishna Chaitanya. And then Gaura Tushe, so he's of the complexion which is golden color. So that's what Gaura means. So we'll continue now. So there are 2 main slides which we're going to cover, which will summarize the teachings of Lord Krishna and Lord Chaitanya. So this is the essential teachings of Lord Krishna. So the first point, we've heard a lot yesterday and today, right? And most of our life. What do you think? Have you heard something so far in your life about the Gita? Hopefully, no? We have a whole life to study, so don't worry if you don't know everything. But there are 3 main sections. So this is later on, several centuries ago, one of our acharyas, he split the Gita into this idea that there are 3 main focuses. One is karma in the first 6 chapters of the Gita, and then the middle 6 is bhakti, and then the middle 6 is called jnana or knowledge. Sorry? What did I just say? I used the wrong word? Oh, sorry. So, yeah, Jnana is the last 6. So, thank you. If I make any mistake, then correct me. So, Keshav Maharaj, actually, he defines it like this. It's a very sweet and simple way, especially if you're new to the Gita, so it's not overwhelming. The first 6 chapters of the Gita teach you how to live properly in this world. Does everyone feel like modern society we're living in the most healthy way we can? No, right? Are we living in the most fair way that we can? Government, people, social classes. Are we living in the most fair to the environment way that humans have lived before? No, right? So although we have so much knowledge in this world, what is the use of knowledge if it's not beneficial, right? In our communication seminar we discussed that communication means to share something which is beneficial, right? All of our actions should be beneficial, otherwise there's no point doing them. If you do something and it's bad for you, then it's better not to do it, isn't it? So it's very simple. So in order to live properly, you need knowledge which is actually beneficial, which actually does good for you. But modern society is advancing in knowledge which is self-harming, either directly or indirectly. Nowadays people, on the cigarette packets, they show the pictures with all the lungs and the teeth and the gums receding, and people still smoke. So once I was just at a wedding in Spain. So my friend had some friends from Germany actually. They were from, I think, Hamburg. And so one of the girls was smoking, so I thought, let me ask a very naughty question. So I said to her, I said, so when you smoke and you hold this packet with the picture, how do you feel? I just said it in a very humble way. Just out of curiosity. It's like you're seeing this picture but you're still doing this. And then she's like, yeah, I don't want to see the picture. I just ignore it. So I'm like, so why do you smoke then? She's like, I can't stop. So I said, you should try meditation. Maybe it'll help you. So there are many types of knowledge we have. We even see things in front of us, but we do not act. So when we study the first 6 chapters, Krishna is teaching us how to recalibrate, how to realign, how to reassess the way that we live. So we go from having unlimited knowledge, which we use to do self-harm, and take that knowledge to do actually good things for us. So it's not to say everything in modern society is bad. As Krishna says in the Mahabharata, that nowadays in Kali Yuga, everybody is mixed. Even they criticize Duryodhana. He says, actually in Kali Yuga, even people are mixed. Well, he didn't say Kali Yuga then, he started afterwards. But he said that no human being is completely good or completely bad, they're a mix. So even technology is like that. There are some good things, there are some bad things, but in the long run, it turns out bad. Like social media is kind of good, it's fun, you can share things with your friend, but for long-term mental health, then we can probably all read studies and see for long term, probably we would have done better without it. Same thing with cars. Cars are very good to have a quick and fun life, but for the long term preservation of the human race, it's pretty bad for the environment, so it's not very sustainable. So that's the first 6 chapters of the Gita is teaching us about karma, how to act in the world. So how to live. So when we understand we're spiritual and our needs ultimately are spiritual, and if we deal with those spiritual needs, then our material wants, desires, expectations, attachments will all fade. So then we're acting in this world neutrally. We're no longer acting pushed around by impulses, desire, lust, anger, greed, envy, etc. So Krishna explains all of this. So the science of karma, that's called karma sukoshalam. There's yoga karma, what's that? Do you remember? I forget already. Yeah, but how does it start? Do you remember the full verse? Can't remember. Anyway. No. But that's also a good verse. So, anyway, Krishna is teaching the art of how to do karma, the art of work, which is basically to work without expectation of results, to do your duty without worrying about the result. Because when you do your duty wanting the result, when you don't get it, then you try to change the process, you're trying to change the method to get it. And many times when human beings do that, then they step over other people's feet and fingers. Sometimes we literally step on their head to get ahead in the game because we're attached to the result. But when you're attached to doing your duty, then you do not hurt others. Because duty is never anything bad for others. But wanting the result, when you cannot have the result you want, because the result we're expecting is based on our desires, but our desires, there's not enough to fulfill everyone's desires. So therefore, when you act out of duty, then you're protected. But when you act out of material desires, or in other words with attachment to the result, then we affect the environment, we affect other people. That's like, who believes there is enough food in this world for all human beings right now? Who believes it? I don't think anyone can say no, because just like in the UK, they throw away 50% of fresh fruit and vegetables, which they import in the country. That's a statistic. Yeah? You believe it, yeah? Okay, you just slow a little bit. So I'm joking. So sometimes, we think, like we could easily fix the hunger problem. We just stop giving 20 times the amount of grains to animals and we just give them directly to the humans. So we save 20, times of efficiency. So there are so many ways problems can be solved. But because human beings are attached to the result, that I'm doing this job because I want to be a millionaire. I'm doing this because I want this. I'm doing this because I want to feel like this. When we try to control everything, then we actually end up becoming controlled by Mahamaya. Just like the monkey, he thinks I can control the banana and pull it out of the kumbuka, the pot. And then he puts his hand in, but because he's so attached, he cannot get his hand out, and then he gets attacked by the evil, what do you call them? Poachers? There's a word for it. The people who capture animals. Poachers? Forget the word. So that's the teaching of karma in essence. Then the teaching of bhakti means the teaching of love and devotion. Is this on, by the way? Still? This?
Yeah.
Okay. Because yesterday it kept turning off. So this is also very important. So Keshav Maharaj explains that he's teaching us how to love. So the Gita is teaching that love is not selfish love. Generally what we call in this world love is actually selfish love. So selfish love means I'm relating to you to get some benefit out of you. You fulfill the dream character, the dream looks, the dream personality, the dream this, the dream that. So many things we dream about, and then we try to find a person that's a projection of that. But that means we're actually trying to control who the person is, isn't it? If you have so many expectations from someone, but what about if they want to change their mind and do something, I love you because you're a doctor, and then you stop being a doctor, then I feel like, oh, I don't like you as much now. Or I like you because you look like this, but then 30 years down the line, you're not going to look like that. So Krishna is teaching that the way to love actually is you have to understand everyone first, that they're a spirit soul, and everyone is lovable, but there are different types of loving relationships. Actually, all relationships have some level of love, and some they also have formality. So of course the most intimate loving relationship is generally between spouses, husband, wife, etc. So these type of relationships is what generally we say is love. Sometimes we say mother and son, mother and daughter. But generally when we talk about love, relationships of love, actually all relationships should contain love. Even with a tree, you should also feel love towards a tree. Even towards a river, you should feel love. Imagine, it sounds very hippie, no? But the 6 Goswamis did that. They used to chant by the bank of the Yamuna and fall into ecstasy seeing the Yamuna river, because they could remember all the pastimes that Mother Yamuna facilitated for Krishna. Then the trees of Vrindavan, they used to bend in certain ways according to the ecstasy of the devotees. So the tree actually starts looking like a human being. So you can see trees like that. So actually we should love everything, because love is not something that you want to get with someone else, but love is a state of being actually. Therefore Krishna, he loves everybody, therefore he's called Jagat Pita. Even the people who stab him in the back, he also loves them. So does anyone say we should love the environment? Yeah? Yeah, we should, right? Should we love trees? Srila Prabhupada, when they were in Krishna Balaram temple, he says, do not chop down that tree. It's been here longer than you guys. And it will be here longer than you guys. So they had to build the whole temple around the tree. Has anyone been to Vrindavan temple? So he was, even in many ISKCON properties, he chastised everybody. Why did you unnecessarily cut the tree? If there's no reason, you should not cut this tree. He shouted at them. So he felt even love towards the tree. So,
How about for the jiva that is in the tree? They are like trapped there for like...
Exactly, so we should feel for them, right? The jiva. Let them be free. If you do it in a... If you need, for instance, if you need a table and you're using it for Krishna, then that's part of karma yoga, that even in karma yoga you have to do things which may not be perfect, but because you offer this table to Krishna, it becomes purified. So if you're unnecessarily chopping trees, then there's no point. Like if you're unnecessarily spending money, you can say, yeah, but it's Krishna's money, I'm using it for him. Yeah, but you don't need to spend 10 euros to buy one banana. So in the same way, yes, certain things we have to use, but we have to do it in a very careful way, sensitive way. So Srila Prabhupada was very sensitive to all of these things. So the spiritualist actually, he loves everyone. So the summary is of the middle six chapters is that love is not simply an expectation of certain results, certain experiences from other people, but love is actually serving unconditionally. And serving everyone within the context of understanding that we're spiritual beings and we're part and parcel of Krishna. Otherwise, our love will never be complete. It will always be missing something. And then the third one is how to live in this world. So Jnana Yoga is teaching the science of detachment. So there's a very famous thing which people do. Maybe Maharaj did also. There's a one devotee, Patri Prabhu, he used to do this. So in India they say this. So what is the second name of this text? You can see it in the first bullet point. The second word in the text we're discussing. Gita, right? So can you say Gita really fast and really loud without stopping?
Gita, 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 Gita,
Yeah.
Gita, Gita.
So it starts sounding like Tyagi, no? Tyagi, Tyagi, Tyagi. So sometimes they say, this is the secret of the Gita, is Tyaga. Tyagi means a renunciate, one who is detached from the world. So Krishna is teaching in these last 6 chapters that this is a very nice quote, I think Bhakti Tirtha said it. Detachment doesn't mean that you cannot own anything in this world, isn't it? Like generally think, oh, you're spiritual, why do you have a nice laptop? Why do you have a nice iPhone 16 Pro Max or 17, whatever? Which one? 17. So why do you have a nice Tesla car, etc., right? So actually a spiritualist means it's not that you cannot have anything or you don't own anything, but it's that nothing owns you. Do you catch that play on words? So it's not that you cannot be in control of anything, but it's that to make sure that nothing controls you. In other words, if you're feeling incomplete, then we start to look for material things to make us feel complete. Oh, I feel lonely, let me take one drink and sit by the river and have a drink. I don't have friends, but I can have a drink and I feel warm again. Or sometimes we feel depressed, so then it's okay, I need to smoke a lot of marijuana so I feel happy again. Or we think, oh, I'm feeling this way, therefore I need to find this kind of person. I'm feeling this way, I need this object. So when the materially conditioned being doesn't remember that he's a spirit soul and the need, his ultimate emptiness is due to a lack of loving relationship with God and other people under that context, under that pretext, then we start to look to, okay, if I'm a material body, then things which please the body must please me, right? Makes sense, right? If you're the body, if you want to be pleased, you need things that please the body because that's you. But if you're not the body, then it won't work. So that's called incompatibility in relationship, that matter, material substance, can never satisfy the spiritual soul because matter by nature is static and the soul is dynamic. And when the soul becomes Krishna conscious, he doesn't only go from static to dynamic, but he goes from static to ecstatic. So this is the teaching, the third section of the Gita, that how to leave this world is how to live by being detached from matter and attached to Krishna. And that way when you die, we don't die, but when you leave your body, then whatever you're attached to, you meditate on that and you go to that after death. So this is what Krishna teaches. So peace and freedom from material desire, these are two very, very key items in the Bhagavad Gita, that by practicing Bhakti Yoga, you get peace. So we also defined yesterday, what is peace? Is it external peace? Actually, was it today actually? Peace means freedom from material desires, right? We were discussing at some point. And then freedom. Freedom means when you have peace, then you no longer get attached to so many things in this world. Like a child goes to a shop, and then, oh, there's a little teddy bear, and then they hold on the teddy bear. And then the mother says, come on, this teddy bear is worth 500 crowns. I'm not going to buy this teddy bear. I can get one from Amazon SE for 10 euros, the same brand. Let me buy it for you there. But the kid is very attached because it's in his hand. And then finally the kid cries, then you start walking out towards the exit. Then he gets too attached to another thing. Oh no, mommy, I want to take this one now. Please, it's only 490 SEK now. I want to take this instead. And then the parent says, come on, 490 crowns for a toy? I only make 200 crowns an hour in my job. That's like too expensive. So we're like this, we're like little kids who are so needy, we're just holding on to everything thinking it will make us happy. But okay, where's Radha? She's still here? She went? Okay, you're here, Malati. So hopefully, I'm not trying to make fun of Nitai, he's my best friend. But does he sometimes get emotional when you take a toy away from him? Yeah, right? But do you think it's very logical or it's silly? What do you think? It's kind of silly, right? It's just a little toy. So the soul in the material world is like that. We're getting attached to so many silly things which are never going to make us happy. But because we're attached, we think they'll make us happy. So this is the nature. So peace and freedom from material desire. So then the whole conclusion of Bhagavad Gita is that there's too many complexities in this world. Karma, bhakti, well not bhakti, the conclusion is bhakti, but there's so many techniques of karma. Karma means being in the world but not of the world. And jnana means detaching from the world. So there's so much complexity to fulfill all of these two paths. The Gita actually, it doesn't teach 3 paths, or sometimes Vivekananda said 4 paths. Krishna only speaks of 2 paths. One is of karma, one is of jnana. One is of transformation of attachment, which is called karma yoga, the karma marga, and then the other one is the jnana marga. Just like you have Lord Ram's parampara and Krishna's parampara, the sun and the moon parampara. So each parampara represents that one is for karma, one is for jnana. So Krishna teaches beyond these 2, bhakti is the highest. Then you can be a worker in the world or you can be a renouncer like a sannyasi, but the bhakti works for everyone because it's not relating to The mind is not relating to your activities, it's relating directly to your heart. So therefore Krishna says that all you have to do, don't worry about being attached or not attached, it's so complicated. Don't worry about, am I doing mixed bhakti, am I doing pure bhakti, am I doing bhakti because I want to be famous or not? Don't worry, just surrender to me, then everything is finished. Just if you give your heart to me on a golden plate, then I will love you and you can love me, finished. So sometimes life is so complicated, like husband and wife, they may fight and they're pulling each other's hair out. All you have to do is reassure the person that you love them. That's the main insecurity they have. They don't really care that you left your watch on the table, on the bathroom sink every day. They say, okay, you're not listening to me, but the insecurity is not about the watch. It's that you're not listening, and this is a symptom you're not listening, so it means you don't love me. So that's our insecurity, right? In the material world. Or we say, oh, you didn't cook for me today, you don't love me. So actually, all you have to do is just give your heart to someone and then they'll give it back to you, right, in this world. So we're all insecure that the people we're around, they don't really love us. So therefore Krishna is saying, all you have to do is don't worry about all this philosophy, all these dharmas, just give me your heart, give me your love, and then everything will be okay. That's like you may have sometimes, a mother and child or husband and wife, they fight and they give a whole list of offenses you made. You did this on this day, you did that on that day, you left this there, you didn't do this when I asked you and you promised me, all of these things. Behind all of that, they're basically saying, I'm worried that you don't love me the way we used to feel love, isn't it? So that's it. So Krishna is saying, the conclusion of everything is just you reconfirm that you actually love me, and then I can love you again. But otherwise, I cannot interfere because you have independence as a soul. So this is the whole conclusion of Bhagavad Gita. And the moiety of Krishna, moiety means there is one reality, but there are two sides to that reality. So that's Radha and Krishna. But for the sake of time, because we only have 10 minutes left, we will continue to the next one. This is a very nice thing, but not for today, sorry. Sorry, yeah?
Did you have one other video to show?
Yeah, I can show it now.
Yes.
But we're a bit tight with time, that's the thing. So what should we do? Should I show? It's about 3 minutes video.
Yes.
I have to ask.
Okay, let's vote.
Yeah, because I don't. We said hour and a half, so there's only 10 minutes left.
Yeah, everybody
It's
wants.
nicer if we can speak more. We have already watched 3 videos.
Yeah. So, but what was the vote? Let's see the number for yes. This is actually maybe the best video, I think, personally. The audio, the video quality is a bit fuzzy. It's like the most sweet video, huh? No, Vishnu Jana Swami. I'm showing you all the top Gs, Like Tribhunath Prabhu, amazing soul. Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, obviously Srila Prabhupada is the top most. And then Vishnu Jana Swami is also, so I think we'll just. Okay, this is really, really cool, this video. It's crazy. Uh-oh. Okay. How long does it say? 3 minutes.
Yes.
So now we're going to the topic of Lord Chaitanya's teachings. So it's building on what Krishna taught. So this is Vishnu Jana Swami giving one of the best explanations of Lord Chaitanya I've ever seen in my life.
This is the special net of Lord Chaitanya, which has been emanated for the benefit of this age's call, which is made to make the unsurrendered surrender. Not by actual force, but by the force of attraction. This is Lord Chaitanya's force. And his attraction is so powerful that no one can avoid it. You may avoid accepting Krishna as God. You may avoid accepting Krishna's Rasa Leela as transcendental. Just as it's being done in India and all over the world, everyone is thinking of Krishna's Rasa Leela as mundane, as something of the material world. So you can discredit Krishna in so many ways, but Lord Chaitanya accepted the position of a sannyasi. In this way he demanded respect because of his renunciation. Not only did he accept the position of a sannyasi, but he performed Sankirtan. In other words, while being a sannyasi, he performed an activity which ordinarily sannyasis do not do. Namely, singing, which is one of the things forbidden for the Mayavadi sannyasis. Playing on musical instruments, which is another thing forbidden for Mayavadi sannyasis. And also this dancing, which is another thing forbidden a popular prashadam, which is definitely forbidden for the Mayavadis. So Lord Chaitanya, although accepting the position of renunciation, he introduced a process for self-realization in the sannyas order, which could be acceptable even by a little child. Because a little child can sing, a little child can dance, a little child can play a musical instrument, and a little child can eat popular prashadam. Therefore, although he demanded respect by accepting sannyas, although there's no way one can misunderstand his position as a great devotee and a great teacher, still he introduced the process which would attract the little children and also atheists, agnostics, and impersonalists of all categories. Namely, this process of chanting, dancing, and distributing prasad.
There we go. I thought it was longer, but some of the audio was missing. Anyway, so how was that video? Did you like the video?
Yes, I love it.
It's very nice. So he was actually amazing. Yeah?
What's the name of that video?
The thing is, I actually made that video like in 2011 or something, but I don't know where it's gone. It's not on YouTube, but it's on Facebook. If you go on Vishnu Janaswami Facebook page, and I also have the original, but somehow, right? But it's a very, very nice video, a very good explanation of who Lord Chaitanya is. So does anyone remember any points from the video? Yeah?
He was eating very much opulent prasadam, which was not allowed by the Mayavadi sannyasis. He was dancing very much, which was also not allowed by the Mayavadi sannyasis. And he was also dancing, which was not allowed by the Mayavadi sannyasis.
Very nice, thank you.
I don't know if I said, but instrument also, it was not allowed to play instruments by the Mayavadi sannyasis.
Yeah, so very good point. So why is it that you can't sing, you can't dance, you can't play instruments? Because the Mayavadi sannyasi, their goal is jnana. Jnana means liberation. So that's the last 6 chapters of the Gita are also teaching about this topic of jnana. And if you've heard of the Upanishads, they emphasize mainly this process of jnana. So that's mainly what they study. So why is it that these Mayavadi sannyasis and many other religions, like in Islam also, you're not supposed to sing and dance? And if you go to Greece, the monks, they only eat a very small amount, I think once a day. In like Mount Athos, I don't know how to pronounce. And then if you go also to Buddhist monasteries, they only eat once a day at midday, that's it. So there's so much restrictions in many religions around the world to not do these things. So why? Seems like it's just they're trying to deprive us of happiness, no? And control us, patriarchy, all of these things, you know. They're just trying to control us and not let us be happy, isn't it? So why did the Mayavadis and many religions, Islam, Buddhism, they all have so many restrictions and disciplines? What does everyone think? Doesn't make sense, huh?
No.
Doesn't seem fair at all, you know? Yeah?
Maybe because they're all material desires, and when you get to a point where you don't need so many material desires, you're more spiritually advanced.
Wow, very good. Such a good answer, huh? Very nice. Anyone want to elaborate or add anything to that? What do you think, Uddhava?
It's because all of that singing, and it's just to please the senses, and since for the Mayavadis you don't want to please the senses because they can't use the material words, we don't want to have anything to do with that.
Very good. So it's very simple. There are 2 types of objects in this world, or experience in this world. One is spiritual experience, one is material experience. So the more you go into the world of material experience, then the less you can absorb in spiritual experience. So All religions, they teach that you have to start to train your mind and discipline yourself not to get attached to these things. Has anyone been happy by going to a nightclub 7 days a week for 10 years? Anyone become happy? What do you think? No. How many musicians, they want to, I dream, become a famous musician? What percent of great musicians become famous and fulfill all their dreams?
Not so many.
Less than 1%, maybe 0.1%. How many people die of cardiovascular disease every year?
No idea.
About 30% of people. So imagine, the material desires, we think it will make us happy, but after some point, as Krishna explains in the Gita, it starts off very nice, but in the end it becomes very difficult. In the beginning, when you're young, you go to the nightclub and you dance, and then after a few years, your knees start hurting and your back starts hurting, or you have some trauma due to bad relationships, due to the nightclub. So many problems, right? So material desire is just like the monkey trap. It looks so glittery and nice, but then later on you realize it's not going to make me happy, but I just lost my human form of life chasing something which I can never chase, chasing the carrot on the end of a stick. Everyone knows what that is, a carrot on the end of a stick? So, you don't know the analogy? So it's all old-fashioned stuff, that's why. So nowadays we don't really have donkeys because we invented cars and other things, but before they used donkeys as a working animal. So in order to motivate them, they'll tie a stick around its neck and in front of it, and then they put a carrot. So the donkey is always seeing the carrot in front. But because it's attached to its head, it will never get closer to the carrot. So it walks many, many hours thinking it will get a carrot, and then it never gets the carrot until it finishes the job. So material world is like that. There's just some drops here and there, but the more you do it, the less you enjoy it, because you need a stronger hit. You need a stronger amount, you need more. So these Mayavadis, they understood this point, which is true, it's not a wrong point. Material things, they don't actually make you happy, they just look like they make you happy. And because we haven't realized the other side yet, we still think it will make us happy. So then they renounce material pleasure. But the problem is, there are two things in this word, material and pleasure, right? So they conflate that all pleasure is material, but material and pleasure are two separate things. Material is pleasure which is contaminated with ego. In other words, I'm in the center. This is here to please me. I can control this and then I can use it in a way that pleases me, right? Crude oil is very useless, right? If I throw crude oil on your Shami, how would you feel? Crude oil. The oil, the black oily stuff in the bottom of the ocean and under the earth, which they make the refined oil from. And then gasoline and many things, plastic. So it's very disgusting. It probably could even kill you. I don't know much about crude oil. So it's a very nasty, disgusting thing. But if you process it, you can make plastics, diesel, petrol, so many things. Medicines. Anyone like Vaseline? That's coming from crude oil. So crude oil is very useless, but if you know how to develop it, it becomes very useful, right? So the problem is not pleasure. The problem is that it's in a crude form, so we don't know the art of how to become happy. So Krishna is teaching, Lord Chaitanya is teaching, the problem is not happiness, the problem is not dancing. The problem is when you dance with the material ego, then you're doing it in a way which will never make you happy. Because the problem is not the activity, the problem is the ego behind the activity. So therefore Krishna is teaching that if you want to dance, then do it in a spiritual way. If you want to eat, do it in a spiritual way. Killing millions of animals and becoming completely emotionally insolent to their pain will never make you happy. But eating in a very conscious, loving way, in harmony with the environment, in harmony with the plants, then offering it to God, that will make you happy because it's good. So Lord Chaitanya is basically teaching that material desires, they're corrupted. So you don't have to throw the activities out of the window, but you have to fix them and bring them back to the pure platform, which is using everything as an offering to the divine, and in a way where everyone, the whole universe, can benefit and feel happy and at peace with your activities. So therefore Lord Chaitanya is teaching how to surrender. So we learn in the video how he surrendered by renouncing everything and chanting and dancing, right? And then, does anyone know any verse relating to how to chant? Because you don't have time, so you have to answer it and then we complete the points. It starts with T, Trinad. Anyone remember? Yeah. Yeah. Can you tell us in English? Because I don't know much Sanskrit, so it's hard to understand.
Chant the holy names of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself low, then restore his truth devoid of any sense of false prestige and ready to offer all respect to others without expecting respect in return. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy names of the Lord constantly.
Wow, that's amazing. So that's the essence of how to chant. So many of you have heard that before. Anyone not heard of it yet? Maybe 5, 6 of you. So those of you who haven't heard, you can just put in Google Lord Caitanya and then chanting, and then Shikshastakam. It's hard to spell, but you can find it hopefully. So you can study more about it. And then I put point number 4, he exemplifies and emphasizes the Bhagavata Marga. So the Bhagavata Marga means more important than ethnicity, jata, more important than varna, what your job is, more important than what stage of your life you're in, because all of these things do influence your spiritual life. For instance, if you're a brahmachari, Prabhupada said 50% easier to practice spiritual life, because you don't have to spend half your time in the office. So you can just focus, right? When you're sannyasi, vanaprastha, it's also easier. But Lord Chaitanya says, it doesn't matter, even if you're grihastha, he says, no problem, because the solution I'm giving you, it doesn't matter what varna you're in. You can do my solution at any time. Before, if you are not a sannyasi in the Mayavadi Sampradaya, which is the renunciants, then you basically won't go back to God at the end of this life. But Lord Chaitanya says, don't worry, you don't have to wait. You don't have to become a sannyasi. Just follow my formula. So this is called Bhagavata Marga. So the essence of Bhagavata Marga, he gave us 3 things. Does anyone remember in the video? He said them actually. Arvind. Yeah, you said them already. Anyone remember what are the 3 things which he mentioned, which were forbidden, but he did it in a spiritual way? Yeah?
I'm thinking.
Dancing, eating chow,
And
playing instruments.
And chanting as well, right?
Yeah.
So just simply you just chant and dance and take opulent prasadam. This is sufficient to practice spiritual life. So can a small boy like Nitai and Bimal, and what's Bimal's brother's name? Madhu, yeah, Madhu. So can they chant, dance and feast?
Yes.
We saw how nicely they did it yesterday. And then His Grace Dhruva Prabhu, he's 68, I think?
Yes.
68. And then Maharaj even more, maybe 75. They also can chant, dance and feast. We all do it together every day. And can a man do it?
Yes.
Can a woman do it?
Yes.
Can a trans do it?
Yes.
Can two-spirited do it?
Yes.
So everyone can do it, doesn't matter. In Varnashram they say, if you're not a stereotypical gender role, then no chance for you. Lord Chaitanya says, as long as you follow the rules and regulations, so you can't just go around doing sinful things, but if you follow rules and regulations, it doesn't matter what gender, what identification, who you think you are. If you're human, you say, I'm actually a bear. No problem, Lord Chaitanya says. The bears dance with me all the time in the forest. So you can be a lion. Lord Chaitanya danced with the lion. So he says, I don't mind what is your material identification, because I'm going to transform your whole concept of identification, that Jiva Swarupoi, Krishna Nityada. Therefore he's considered the Karuna avatar, because he gives the easiest program to the people who are suffering the most and struggling the most. This is, human society has the most facility, but nothing is facile, nothing is easy for them, despite having so much facility. So we are not able to facilitate even a basic spiritual life, even though we have so much facility. So therefore the mood of Lord Chaitanya is as a missionary, that instead of just sitting on the mountain and meditating and hoping the rest of the world will heal themselves, you come down off your high horse and your mountain, and you come off your aeroplane, your Boeing, and you hit the ground, and then you shake people's hand, and you say, nice to meet you, let's chant and dance and take prasadam together. So this is the essential teaching of Lord Chaitanya. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Is it easy to understand?
Yes.
It's very simple, right? Can you do it?
Yes.
Okay, good. So thank you very much. So that concludes our class. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Bol.